As rhetoric ramps up about Canada becoming the 51st U.S. state, U.S. President Donald Trump appears open to America joining the British Commonwealth. Now, for more on what this would look like, as well as the role the Crown plays here in Canada, we're joined now by UK constitutional law and politics expert Craig Prescott. Craig, thanks so much for speaking with us today.
Hello, it's a pleasure to join you.
All right, so let's start with Trump's apparent openness to basically undoing what America's founding fathers fought and died to exit hundreds of years ago. The president sharing an article which reported that King Charles may offer a, quote, associate membership to the Commonwealth. So what do you make of that claim? Is there such a thing as an associate membership?
Really, that there isn't. Essentially, either you're a member of the Commonwealth or you're not. There's no precedent for anything like associate membership or observer status or anything like that. Essentially, the Commonwealth is a club of countries that used to have links with Britain via the British Empire. And, essentially it's a club. Either you're in or you're out.
So what would the process then look like, say, to add a new nation to the club and add an extra country to the Commonwealth? It must be quite complex.
It's a little complex. It ultimately has to be by agreement, by consensus with the existing members for any new member to join. So it's not a quick process. And, the idea of America joining might be especially controversial to some members of the Commonwealth who generally see it as an opportunity for smaller countries to get together and discuss common issues. So a country like America, with its sheer size, could have quite a disruptive effect.
And Craig, Trump seems to have this special affinity for Britain and the monarchy. So do you think this is just an idea, this reported offer from the UK to America is a way to placate Trump?
If it is an offer from the UK formally, then yes, it might be part of that sort of strategy to placate Trump and keep on his side. I don't think anything has formally come from the government or the king on this as yet. And I personally think that's unlikely. But it is true that Trump does have a particular affinity with the British monarchy in particular. This may stem from the fact that his mother was Scottish and, she respected Elizabeth II very, very deeply. And I remember seeing a video of Trump on Air Force One a few months ago. And, he had a picture book of him with the members of the royal family and was going through this and sort of saying just how marvelous the monarchy was. So he does have this sort of very sort of unusual interest in the British monarchy for a US president.
All right, now, Craig, of course, Canada is already part of the Commonwealth, and Trump has implemented tariffs against our country. He's also threatened annexation, making Canada the 51st state. Some Canadians are wondering where King Charles, our country's head of state, stands on this existential threat and why he's remained silent about it. But how involved can the king be in our politics? What are the rules and the roles of the crown here in Canada?
So generally, the king is a non-political head of state, a non-party political head of state, both here in the UK and in Canada as King of Canada. Now, of course, on a day-to-day basis, the king's functions, the functions of the crown, are exercised by the Governor-General on his behalf. And so there is, in a sense, the king is one step removed in Canada in a way that he isn't here in the UK. Any sort of formal move or speech that the king might make as regards Canada will be on the advice of the government of the day. And, essentially that's now up to Mark Carney to think about what the role of the king could be here as regards Canada and Trump's rather strange discussions about Canada in terms of annexation and 51st state and what have you. The one thing that the king has done is that he hasn't discussed this explicitly, but we have seen him work Canadian medals on an engagement here in the UK. And we've seen sort of more subtle moves. He met Justin Trudeau, shortly before he resigned, and he's already met Mark Carney as Prime Minister when he made a flying visit here to the UK. So I think it's clear what the King might think of this, although he hasn't said that expressly.
Now, would the rules ever change when the safety and the existence of a Commonwealth country are threatened, or is what we're going through right now quite unprecedented?
I think in many ways this is really quite unprecedented, because there is a distinction to be made between just being a member of the Commonwealth, which is, open to those countries that don't have the king as head of state, and a Commonwealth realm such as Canada and indeed the UK, as well as Australia and New Zealand and what have you, because there the king still retains that political role as head of state. And I would imagine that if, you ever got to a situation of troops, amassing on the border or sort of, crossing the border, then I think you could start to see the king sort of acting, because there the territorial integrity of the nation of which he's head of state, is being threatened. And that would be truly sort of, exceptional and sort of unprecedented circumstances.
All right. Well, Craig, thank you so much for your time today and your insights. Interesting times indeed.
Yes, thank you.
That is UK constitutional law and politics expert Craig Prescott.